Ounger fans probably know them best as that band from their parents' time, who did all those wild and crazy things on that Netflix biopic, while many older devotees likely have them in the soundtrack to their own reckless youth. Either way, there's hardly a fan alive who would confuse the men of Motley Crue's long-running classic lineup Vince Neil, Mick Mars, Nikki Sixx, and Tommy Lee for literal saints of Los Angeles. They're just one of those bands who are known for their offstage shenanigans as much as they're known for their iconic hit singles and albums. And they have a memoir, the aforementioned biopic, and even a song all named The Dirt, documenting those antics for posterity. This is moments that destroyed Motley Crue's reputation. Nikki Sixx and Tommy Lee purportedly assaulted a woman. Few musician autobiographies, if any at all, rival Motley Crue's The Dirt in terms of its tales of reckless, oftentimes drug and alcohol-fueled rock star behavior. Unfortunately, some of the band's apparent actions in the memoir were downright deplorable, such as the time when Nikki Sixx was having sex with a woman in a tiny room before inviting Tommy Lee to switch places with him, with the woman unaware that there had been a change in partners. Rolling Stone, which dredged up the story ahead of the premiere of the movie adaptation of The Dirt on Netflix, asked Sixx about the incident, and he alleged that there might have been some sensationalization involved. There was a little bit of embellishment here and there with Neil Strauss, the bassist said. He also said in a statement that the book version of The Dirt was written at a time when he had fallen off the wagon, and that he didn't remember sharing many of the stories included within its pages. Many fans didn't buy those excuses, and felt Sixx only walked back the story after realizing how bad the modern-day optics were. I think that was a lie he probably thought sounded cool when he told it for the book. Then fast forward to metoo and better backtrack. The death of Nicholas Razzled Dingley. It was definitely no secret that the Crue loved to party. Following the success of their 1983 album Shout at the Devil, the band hosted one such event at his place on the 8th of December 1984. Among the guests were members of the up-and-coming Finnish glam rock band Hanoi Rocks, including their drummer Nicholas Razzled Dingley. With alcohol supplies running low, Vince Neil and Razzle drove off to the liquor store early that evening. But what should have been a quick booze run ended in tragedy when the heavily intoxicated Crue frontman's Ford Pantera spun out of control and into oncoming traffic. Razzle was killed almost instantly, and two other individuals suffered serious injuries. Neil was convicted of vehicular manslaughter and ended up serving only 20 days in jail, among other punishments that were arguably tantamount to a slap on the wrist. Worse yet, Hanoi Rocks guitarist Andy McCoy claimed to Classic Rock that Neil never apologized for causing Razzle's death, not even decades after the fatal car crash. McCoy said, "He's scared of me. Every time he sees me, he runs away. But to me it is so important. It is the moral value of the thing." The other Motley Crue guys apologized, but the other guys didn't do anything wrong. Vince Neil and Axel Rose's Go Nowhere feud. If there was one thing Motley Crue liked more than partying, it would probably be their propensity for beefing with their fellow rock stars. Nikki Sixx has feuded with the likes of Eddie Vedder, Lars Ulrich, and Godsmack, but one can say he doesn't have anything on Vince Neil, who kept one such beef running long after it should have been squashed. It all started one night in 1989 when Guns N' Roses guitarist Izzy Stradlin allegedly kicked Neil's then-wife Charisse Ruddle after she refused his advances. The Crue vocalist issued a receipt at that year's MTV Video Music Awards, punching Stradlin as a wild brawl ensued. GNR frontman Axel Rose was among those involved as he defended his bandmate's honor and yelled threats at his fellow lead singer. 2 years later and many back-and-forth insults, the feud was still raging, and Neil made a challenge to Rose during an interview with MTV News. He said, "Axel, if you're watching this, I want to challenge you to a fight. I'm gonna give you the time, gonna give you the place, and there's no backing out, buddy." Neil went as far as to say he wanted the fight to take place at an arena where it could be televised for everyone to see. Decades later, that fight has yet to happen. And while their actions in the heat of the moment could somehow be justified, letting the beef linger for years thereafter only made the two frontmen look juvenile and petty. Generation Swine was a disjointed mess. At the very least, it was easy to figure out what kind of album Motley Crue was. It was the band's dark and gritty effort. 3 years later, and with Vince Neil back in the band, nobody knew just what to make of Generation Swine. which jumped from genre to genre with little reason or rhyme. In his review of Generation Swine for Rolling Stone, veteran rock journalist John Wiederhorn pointed out that consistency, a trait fans of bands like The Crue typically desire, was nowhere to be found on the record. He wrote, "Whiny ballads flounder dazedly alongside hardcore beats and woozy melodies, and mean dude bravado clashes with goopy heart-on-sleeve sentiment." Wiederhorn singled out Brandon, a song Tommy Lee wrote for his firstborn son with Pamela Anderson, as a particular lowlight of Generation Swine. Nikki Sixx yelled racial slurs at a security guard. It is sadly not uncommon to hear stories of security guards acting overzealously or going rogue at concerts while dealing with unruly fans. Such behavior is often unconscionable, but not as much so as musicians using racially charged language while calling out these abusive individuals. That was apparently the case during a Motley Crue concert in Greensboro, North Carolina in late 1997, where Nikki Sixx spotted a security guard abusing his authority with the fans on two separate occasions. First when he shone a light in a female fan's eyes, and later on when he got too physical with another audience member. The bassist then went on a lengthy tirade, getting progressively angrier as he rebuked the guard for bullying the fans. Not satisfied with a simple, if profanity-laced call-out, Sixx crossed the line by asking the fans to attack the guard, who happened to be black, before repeatedly using the N-word against him. Several attendees corroborated the claims of abuse against the security guard, and a number of fans were kicked out of the venue. Still, that doesn't excuse Sixx for resorting to racial slurs and inciting violence at the Greensboro show. They allegedly did their founding guitarist dirty. Mötley Crüe fans were saddened, but probably not that surprised, when Mick Mars announced his retirement from touring in October 2022 via a statement to Variety. After all, for most of his adult life, he has endured tremendous pain and other physical challenges due to ankylosing spondylitis, a bone disease with no known cure. There was, however, much more to the retirement story. The guitarist's ex-bandmates soon filed a demand for arbitration against him in an attempt to prove he is no longer an equal partner in the band. Mars then countered with a bitter lawsuit, maintaining that his decision to retire from the road should not affect those rights. In an interview with Variety, Mars accused his former bandmates of many unsavory things, including gaslighting him into thinking he had memory issues during his last decade with the group. He said, "I don't have a problem remembering the songs, but I do have a problem with them, constantly the whole time telling me that I lost my memory." He also said he felt insulted by the band's offer of a severance package that initially amounted to 5% of their touring proceeds. Mars likewise had something to say about the backing tracks controversy. "Everything that was coming out, whether it was me live or the tape, I was playing the right thing, and my friends could tell by my fingers because they're all musicians too.